Well, how is it going? Do you have a fighting spirit? Have you taken anything with you? So, shall we go to Altai right away, or will we fly to the sun? Well, yesterday we discussed cosmic laws, and for those who was absent, I don't usually conduct any extra lections, but let's see how it will go today. How did you get there? Well, and what do you read? So, do you watch any videos? Okay, I see. Well, and have you found us through contact or Telegram? So it's clear. And are you familiar with living ethics? So no one knows how deep it is. Who knows where this bottom is at all? And this is an endless process of learning, of knowledge. And what information or just a book differs from knowledge that we learn in life. We learn through life, yes, what is happening to us through the experience. So we need to turn on the light. Well, and it's through life, through experience, because otherwise no knowledge will be useful if you just read, yes, or flip through something. Well, let there be light. And that's why people forget a little, yes, who they are, yes, why they were born in general, where they come from, and what goal in life they have. There is some goal, some aspiration in life. And how does our life go? Yes, as we talked yesterday, a person was born, yes, got education, started to work, well, speaking in short, and ceased suffering. So such a life process, but actually no such a representation. Yes, there is such understanding. I drew it yesterday. I usually always draw to make people understand a little. Yes, here we are standing on the ground, right? Here we have sun in our chest. Here we have mountains, trees, well, for example, pine trees, houses. There are many different houses, multi-story buildings. And we live here, but we must understand that what we are talking about the cosmic magnet, because there is something that we strive for with our hearts, right? Because our heart is the source of everything, in fact. Yes, a person lives not by intellect, but what do we laugh with? Not with our mind. How does our mind laugh? So, a handsome man, well dressed, I laugh. Well, he dressed badly, I don't love him. But the heart loves despite of everything, no matter what happens. It loves. If it loves, it accepts everything, yes, because love is not for something, but despite something. It should be like this. I like not for something, but despite something. I still love because there is something that unites us all. And this is our heart, this is the source, is connected with the heart of our divine self, because a person is a small part of what he or she represents in fact. But in fact, so we draw a big human, yes, or our higher self, as you remember, when Christ was crucified. And he was crucified for what? He said, I'll build a temple in 3 days. Everyone was waiting for the church, right, or a brick building, but nothing appeared. And people said Christ was a liar, yes, and he appeared before the disciples in a fiery body. Just as, if you know, Mother Maria appeared before Sergius of Radonezh in a fiery body, and his disciple fell dead, and Sergius himself got grey. That was a meeting of the cosmic divine consciousness, yes, and the representation of us who we really are in the fiery body. This higher body with the physical person, his vision, well, at some point opens up to a person, yes, and he or she already discovers this ability to see this world, the angelic world of higher beings. And this is not some kind of supernatural ability itself, it's normal ability, but we forgot about it here. Why are we talking about it? Because we understand that we have been limited here by life, by physical world. I'm right in the physical world, but there is also a subtle world, what is around us, and this is fiery world, the outer sphere of the planetary body, of course, and the task of every human is to strive above, to reach the fiery world. So it's not construction of a rocket, not a journey, but changing consciousness, purifying the heart. So because the heart is a magnet, and what kind of magnet is our consciousness? How we change will be attracted there. If a person is evil person can gather around him or her. Yes, if he or she is kind, well, a space of kindness, of love is formed around a person. Well, and people strive for him or her, maybe. Yes, they are also looking for something positive, or any state, or any organization, or some group of people. Yes, it always lines up around the focus. Yes, there's always one person at the head, some kind of ruler or a president of a country. For example, you see a president has changed now and everything is changing in a country. Well, when a person is fearless, brave, for example, a person who is led by the hierarchy of light, there is always a focus, and the person himself or herself should become a focus of light, to bring light from the higher world and from this divine self into the physical world. And if a person forgets about it and violates the cosmic laws, so that we spoke yesterday about, this connection is at least consciousness to some extent, or a person can lose this connection. Well, and mental energy is simply weakened. And as a rule, people now actually, the suns go through the streets with darkened auras. So it's like a bulb, well, in a garage, cement, dirt covers it, it is already stained, and the light breaks through it, and it is in dirt. So you will wash it, dry it, and it shines again. And it happens in reality now. And it's not some kind of fiction. And this is the horror of the current civilization now, because what is going on now? People are rotting alive. What is cancer? This is when person is rotting alive. So he or she has a lack of inner light, of fire, and this is the composition of the aura. Well, the aura gets darkened. So the human aura builds up like a neck. It hits something, resentment, for example, bad energy, well, and some centers stop working. Chakra, well, how a person is built in yoga, it's not a secret now. Everyone knows that aura is filmed, is photographed. So, and in previous centuries, people can say it's blasphemy. Well, So, for example, this reality doesn't exist, so Earth is not round. Well, it's like a pancake. I said last time we go to Altai, yes, and we can claim that Earth is a pancake. Well, because we traveled so much around Russia. Well, and this is horizon all the time. Well, and this is stiffness of our mind, and we can claim everything. But the reality is that a person has physical world, subtle worlds, chakras, centers, and if there is slightest understanding, so it's enough to open Bible, for example, like Elijah the prophet flew on a chariot, a fiery chariot, yes? And what kind of chariot is it? Not horse-drawn, but his chakra centers rotate, and when the spirit is bright light, they shine with fire. So it turns like a snowman, only from circles. So it looks like wheels on fire. Yes, they rotate, they spin, and he or she can move through space, which a person physically cannot cross, just by power of thought. Yes, to move in space. And this is what we are physically can't see. I've been to China, to India. I traveled too much, wandered through monasteries, churches. I was looking for some spiritual knowledge. And if you go there, there are huge statues. In India, Buddha, for example, I can remember. So Buddha was made of gold. I felt such delight. It was very unexpectedly. So the Buddha was sitting there. It was the biggest Buddha in Hong Kong, if I'm not mistaken. Well, and in general, there is the biggest Buddha sitting as a statue there. It's very unusual. So, and why are they so huge? It's not invention, it's not illusion, not fiction, but spiritual people see the manifestation of human, of his divine consciousness, yes, and in stone or in gold, it will be represented on a physical plane. But unfortunately, this idolatry, worship, it remains in people to some degree, and they create some images of deity, yes. But it's correct to say the teacher. If we take Buddhism or Christianity, we must understand that it was not some people, gods, well, who came and told, worship us. So, but Christ washed fishermen's feet, and he said, honor my Father. So, and he is not only the Son of God, but we are all children of God. And moreover, he said, become perfect like my Father. Well, and we based on this phrase, we were talking about the cosmic laws today. So, and this is fiery body. All people represent themselves not only what we see in the mirror, but the way in all spiritual movements it is said, don't identify you with your body, because if we identify only with the body, well, what we see in the mirror, for example, women have such desire to make something beautiful, well, makeup, for example, well, to please a man. But unfortunately, when there is a bias only to this manifestation of a physical person, of a visible person, well, so, and people often forget about the main thing. The main thing, it is what we have inside, the manifestation of our consciousness, if you can say so clearly, how much we can see this quality of our consciousness, our kindness, love, joy, courage, faith, harmony, yes? You can see hostilities now. Some people fled abroad, and this is reality, saving the body. Well, some people save their bank accounts. Someone else saves something else, and someone took a machine gun, yes, and some people are fighting in the rear, yes, in the battle, well, in the prayer, and people who stand for Russia, well, and now we can say this is a battle for humanity, for the planet, because you see what is happening now. It's easy to understand everything. It's manifestation of lies, distortion of truth, prohibition of Russian language. It's clear that Russian language itself contains all knowledge about person, about human, about nature, yes, and worlds all reveal themselves. For example, человек. Well, чело, it stands for a person, a human, yes, for disciple. It means disciple who comes in centuries. Because we see every century someone is born, yes, lives about 4 centuries, a disciple or a spirit coming in centuries. So how a person changes clothes, well, and this divine spirit changes bodies when incarnated. So, and there's also some new body, new country, religion. It's not a secret now. So teachers don't teach it in schools because they don't have maybe scientific basis if we take ordinary science. But you know a million examples when children tell about their past lives. Well, as we remembered yesterday, a child lived on Mars. Yes, he traveled there. They are born like indigo children. They remember about this. They have such a memory. But or people remember it often when something happens, accident or stress, and people begin to remember about their past lives. Yes, or they begin to see the subtle worlds, well, or to see what is happening on Earth. I'm not talking about that we have to strive for this, because it should happen in time when a person is ready for this, and when he or she strengthens this state of light, state of manifestation of the spirit, the power spirit, and it happens by itself. And the Russian language contains, well, all the knowledge, because some people want to prohibit Russian language. That means to deprive people of knowledge. And what does it mean? To stop cosmic evolution here on the planet. And it is happening now. So I rarely tell about this. And I'll remind you. So what was happening on Earth? So the planetary body was developing, yes, and 8 spirits came to Earth. The sons of the sun, solar spirits. They were very high, and what did they came from? They came into incarnation to help the development of people, their consciousness. And we know that one of them turned out to be the weakest. In fact, it was Lucifer who fell, and he was considered the master of the earth. And he decided to separate humanity from the cosmos. And if previously, for example, people remembered their past lives, remembered how they had the opportunity to communicate with them, with the dead people, and now people have funerals, everything is crying, because everyone has forgotten about their true nature. And the task of negative forces is to carry out this separation of humanity, to stop cosmic evolution from cosmic evolution. Yes, and this is still happening on Earth. Although now there is such an understanding that Lucifer was taken away from the planet. Yes, and he was taken away from the planetary body. Well, and it was decided to save the planet, because it was too choices to energize the planet, well, like the moon, and people will die on it. So like in previous civilization, there were floods, for example, but it was decided to continue the existence of the planet, the development of races, and this consciousness. And you can say of fallen angel, like Bible tells, well, he was removed from the planet, but there were still some remnants of negative energies of followers who are still fighting for their existence, and they are trying to destroy everything that carries the truth, everything what shows love, unity. And now it comes through lies, distortion of knowledge, as LGBT, for example. It happens at the level of children. Also, Christ said, if you touch the little ones, the child, so the law will not forgive cosmically. And people still don't understand that introducing these laws, so when they learn children to change the gender, so they don't understand that at the physical level, that there in the subtle world we have already decided who will be the girl or a boy, and they don't understand that karmic blow will be very harsh, and it will lead to attenuation, to stop as possible people from the cosmos, from the reality of what is happening on earth now. And it is happening at the warrior level, because the lowest manifestation of this, what is happening now, it is fascism, satanism, decomposition, LGBT people, yes, mental abnormalities, and people have to be healed. So, as in religion, it is said, people have to read and listen to prayers. So, people don't have to be afraid of them, but this is reality of what is happening now. And we are warriors of light who came there to help the earth to resist, and first of all in ourselves, low manifestations in ourselves. It means to get rid of lie, fears, and to replace this with higher qualities. And it will be manifestation of this cosmic consciousness, because of course the spiritual path, it's not rituals, worship, and so on, but so because a person wants to create something outer, to create some images, but in fact it's a full path to some extent, and the truth is a manifestation of a real person. It is manifestation of his purity of consciousness. Therefore Christ gave very simple formulas: become like children. And our children are mobile, joyful, they have extraordinary behavior and thinking, and you can find a teacher somewhere. I say, go to the yard, to the sand pit. There are a lot of teachers. And there are real children who are not spoiled by these frames of modern life, because if you stay at school, people are already coming out. So, and when you get good or bad marks, and young people become so they become very shy, they protect themselves from everything. There is a lecture again, an exam again. So, and can you remember somebody who continued to study immediately after school, who wanted it very much? So what do we have? What is going on after the institute or a school? But it depends on the teachers also, the teachers too. But many people stopped education, because learning process itself incorrectly built. So, because people forget that we are at school from the moment we were born. Well, it happens already in the mother's womb. Well, we are already at school, and when a child open his or her eyes, well, you give a rattle, a toy to him or to her, but the God is looking at you, because in every eye there is the look of the universe, of the galaxy. There is God there, cosmic consciousness. So because there is no imperfect manifestation in a child. So because first few years, well, a child perceives the subtle world, well, and sometimes children begin to tell about the subtle world, well, and parents begin to scold them, well, or to take to the doctors, well, and they begin to give them some medicines. So it's like antidepressants, but what blocks centers, and the child becomes very inhibited. So, and maybe these abilities close, but in fact, yes, he or she is destroyed by these pills, medicines. So because parents can't see this, can't understand the subtle world, and they think that there is something wrong with this child. But in fact, children often have these abilities, have extraordinary thinking, grow in their form when they see the subtle world. I could see this. So, for example, I turn on the chainsaw, yes, and the girl started to cry. She asked to turn it off, and she isn't afraid of the saw, but she sees the subtle world, these bad energies, and she doesn't like it. She doesn't know how to react to them, and she just afraid of these negative forces. Well, because on smell, on sound, bad energy comes, and if we listen to classical music, if we sing some mantras or prayers, something sublime, we attract angels, higher beings. But if a person does evil things, so negative energy gathers around him or her, and it's clear if we come to some place where people live together, well, pray, so have bright thoughts, it's pleasant to be there, and we can say it's such a blessing place. And if you come to some club, pub, where is rock, music, alcohol, it's impossible to be there. It's bad. So, and this place has bad energies. Now people began to distinguish so good energy or bad energy, and this is the path to return to reality of life. Therefore, what is happening now, it is struggle for humanity, and we must understand this, and there should be no fears, of course, but to some extent not everyone is ready to hear this. But in life, yes, if you pay attention, it really happens, of course, and the task of a person is not to be scared, but you understand, not just so people go to monasteries, dedicate their life to prayer. So because everyone who came in contact with this understanding of reality, of manifestation of reality, and they are trying to find some solitude, like-minded people who also strive for this perfect consciousness, but without knowledge how to prevent this. So without knowledge of the cosmic evolution of past events, people get in difficulties, and all the life, yes, develops as suffering, because we can live, but take any family, if there is love, so it begins quickly to be replaced by some scandals, showdowns, well, and everything leads and makes people to get apart because this influence of negative energies, well, and they try to extinguish the hearts of people, well, or this feeling, the source of love, to extinguish so that a person walks gloomy, sad, broken, and in general take him or her to the cemetery, well, to kill him or her, because when a human is sun, well, brings joy, helps people, well, send love, good thoughts, and everything eliminates space, and this is threat to the existence of this low hierarchy, okay, because hierarchy of low creatures who follow the fallen angel. And the story is that Lucifer was the favorite angel of God, and the first angel was the Archangel Michael. He was the strongest, the high spirit, and among the 8 angels, Lucifer turned out to be the low, the weakest, and therefore that happened. He couldn't resist this force of cosmic chaos, and he showed this lowness of consciousness, and he tried to interact people, right, interact with cosmic evolution, and now people can interact with distant world, yes, with a solar planet consciousness, with other worlds, with other stars, galaxies of civilizations, interaction through our heart, because turning inside yourself into your heart, well, you can get a connection with your cosmic self, and cosmic self is connected with the sun, yes, with the common consciousness, because no one has seen God, and we depict it in the sun. We can say the sun of our galaxy, well, of our universe, and everything is connected with the sun. Of course, every person can interact with any point, yes, of universe, well, and you don't need to get in plane, yes, to carry body, because our body is adapted for life on this planet. So, but it's enough to make this with our thought. Well, and I'm telling you about the future abilities, and all of humanity will come to these abilities, and it is said that people will fly. So, and now we can do this. When you go to bed, well, what do? So the spirit is traveling, and when we go to bed and we go somewhere, the body is lying and we are traveling, and those dreams are often not dreams but our real travels. Of course, there can be some obsessions when there is some kind of nonsense, horror, fear, low astral energies, because their task is to make people afraid. And when a person is afraid, so our heart becomes like a wrinkled mango. It is dried up instead of shining. So, and can you remember the state of fear? So, because everything is compressed inside a person, but a person needs to shine. And where is some kind of fear? And a person, despite this, becomes that he or she is immortal, yes? Because there is the light of God in him or her. So, because the God is inside, who created all of this. And he or she will always live forever. And there is no fear in the dictionary of light bringer. So, and fear was invented by these negative forces to make us to be afraid, well, to extinguish this heart, to break this connection. Yes, and person will live like an animal here on the physical plane, forgetting that he or she is the resident of space, yes, of infinite worlds. As I said yesterday, we live not only on Earth, but our cosmic self, it certainly has many aspects. There is another person on our planet, another, and someone lives in the Sun, someone lives on Jupiter, on Venus, and we are connected with each other. And a person can also to communicate with his or her aspects or with aspects with other consciousness, and always is intertwined with each other, and the consciousness of unity in which you and I must return. And you understand this division is very ridiculous. As I said yesterday, take an interest of every multi-story building. So everything is in emptiness. So, and if people start treat everything as common, even not personal, but their personal as common, and as common as a personal, because people now take care about themselves more, and if this care will be directed at everything what surrounds us, so on our parents, on our sons, daughters, on people with whom we work, because they're also our brothers, and maybe sometimes people meet physically, so like to colleagues, like friends. So, and people can have such a good friendship, yes, and can be closer with each other, even their relatives. So we can say, for example, I have such a friend, and he or she is closer to me than my sister or my brother, and my relatives are not so close to me. So because relationship can be karmic connection, and it can be very difficult to grow up love, to cultivate love, because in previous life people could fight with each other. Well, and we have many different questions, and one more law we have to consider, but it's very important. It is the law of what? Of community. Yes, of course, exactly. It's the law of community. I will introduce it. Well, I propose to write it. I wanted to say the law of reincarnation, but I will write the law of community. But it's necessary, it follows from the law of unity. Well, to make people remember how to live in communities, how ants live, for example. They live like a family, like friends. And now people begin to live in communities. Well, they move to nature, because it's very difficult to live in nature alone. And they start working together, because this law of community, no one knows about it. Well, but it's not enough to get together, yes, and start dancing, well, or to work together, but it is developed in children, because people live in subtle world. And how is it happening in subtle world? When you thought about something, yes, and you see it. For example, when you think about clothes, well, and you wear it, because it is said that in subtle world a lot of people go like tramps, like homeless people. Well, for example, they have pants from one incarnation, a hat from another incarnation, yes, a shirt from another incarnation, and people walk like these scraps in rags, because immediately reflects everything on the subtle plane. His or her ability to think is reflected there. So, and you can see, take any person, what do we have inside our head? So a stirrer, well, a mixer, and it mixes our thoughts, yes, and it prevents us from thinking, yes, and a person cannot focus thinking. Well, and people should focus on work. You noticed maybe that when you start working, when some kind of quarrel, and what is better to do? It is to work. Yes, especially to work in a street, for example, in nature. So, and the light appears, and well, people can resist these imperfect influences, and the best thing is work. It's better to concentrate when we are working, but it's very important to learn mentally to work. Not only physical world, but mental work is also very necessary, because it contributes to the development of human consciousness, because when we are moving into a subtle plane, so who feels the best in the subtle plane? There is such a parable when a man prayed to God and he said, I want my thoughts to come true. And he imagined a beautiful garden appears, he was so happy. Well, the Lord replied, and he imagined a beautiful castle appeared in front of him, he was very happy. Well, you don't need to build, to do architectural project, you so imagined it and everything appeared, materialized. And he imagined a tiger, and the tiger torn him away. And that is why people now on the physical plane, so and because people should to learn to think, and when a person goes to the subtle plane, leaves the body, he or she gets into this space of subtle plane. And who feels better? Who loves sincerely? Yes. And what did they do here on earth? What professions they had? Well, yes, okay, this is teachers, well, artists, poets, musicians. That means who worked with the thought? Well, mentally. Yes, there are many different painters, of course, but in any case, it's clear. It depends on the level of consciousness, of purity of thought, of heart. And if a person thinks discipline, if a person is disciplined, well, his or her books, writings are lighter. If you take Leo Tolstoy, for example, he had such deep thoughts, but he was a very high spirit in general. Well, I have been to Yasnaya Polyana, and there is such a strong energy. Yes, where he lived, there is something very bright and strong there, good energies. Well, high spirit lived there, he wrote books. But in space of that consciousness, he gave out these truths. But I want to tell you that he studied very deeply, and I found a book from Blavatsky. Yes, you know that she went to Himalayas and she wrote a lot of books. Not all people accept it, but this is our future. Yes, especially religion structures, they are not ready to change because everything is built on dogmas. Well, a lot of built on dogmas. And unfortunately, humanity lives it on the level of dogma. And Buddha said, I don't ask you to believe me, I ask you to check every my word. So we don't say that Christ, God, well, but in general a person should achieve this, because he said, all that I can, you can, and moreover, all of you can, you are gods, and this is inspiration. We can have this inspiration. It's not for the sake of walking of water, but it's convenient, of course, because, for example, to go to the shop to buy milk, yes, when you live on an island, for example, it's very convenient to walk on water. But people have to achieve this. We are talking about the future. We can't say it's impossible. Oh yes, but Peter was drowning, yes, because he was said faith is weak. He doubted and could not. And imagine people with negative thoughts, and there are many different doubts, fears, worries, well, and there should be immobility of mind, well, and there should be discipline of thought. Yes, and the thought should be only that which is directed. And our thoughts should be harmonious. Well, we have to feel these energies, well, the energy of thought. And when you watch some videos, well, and when you watch YouTube, for example, and a person can tell right things, but the energy is very bad. So, and the source itself, it's not pure. And there can be many distortions. Some people earn money, yes, watch showing these videos, well, or try to lead astray. And the task of people is to learn, to think, well, and of course this is the purity of thought. As you said, painters can paint such pictures, especially modern art, yes, and such an impression, the more terrible, yes, the more art. So the word beauty is forgotten there, and harmony is forgotten too. And in that deep understanding, the beauty of reality is divine. Look at nature. It is beautiful. How harmonious everything is it. And there is nothing that terrifies us, yes? But unfortunately, art now is not pure because a person, him or herself, is not purified. Well, but new art should be not like a horror and nightmare. It should be harmonious. So, and take any scientific vision of any object. Well, cell, atom, electron, right? Everything is in laws, everything has structures. So, and there are geometric formulas, and everything is made by cosmic consciousness, and there are a lot of laws. So a golden ratio, for example. So everything is very harmoniously, and art should be harmonious too. So, and even geometry should be there. And in painting, can you remember? I remember we drew some geometric figures, and there should be, for example, radiuses, distances, and so on in pictures. And so our sun, yes, rises and sets. The planet moves. It's not randomness, it's not chaos. So the understanding of chaos is lie. So because everything is controlled by cosmic consciousness, and this is reality, and the person must understand this and to learn to cooperate with this consciousness, to serve it, because people have a false idea of higher beings, that higher beings serve the lowest. We pray, for example, and they take care of us. But yes, it's clear that we are like children. When children ask, help us, it's clear that parents help. But children always are the first assistants, helpers of parents. How can I help you, mom or dad? And we are on service with cosmic evolution, and we must help the higher consciousness because it is our duty. So because some elemental creatures serve people, and this is the law of hierarchy. And yesterday we watched this, and how to say this, we told about this superficially, and everyone should understand that we are not just born here, we are in the service to the cosmic evolution, and we must take responsibility for our life, for life of our family, for life of our country, of our planet, of our galaxy, of our world. Yes, as our consciousness grows. So, or take a president. A president thinks on the planetary level. Yes, but spiritual person already thinks on the spiritual level. Yes, he or she interacts with the fire world. Yes, with the subtle world. Well, and higher spirits interact with the planets of the solar system. So as Mahatmas, for example, we don't know such creatures on planet. They think on the level of our galaxy. Well, and the person should move free in cosmic space. Well, with the thoughts. And because you know that you open a telescope, for example, our universe has such a size. Yes, it has so many stars, for example. But when you screw another tube to this telescope, and you begin to see many light years, and we can say that our universe is bigger, yes, and we have more planets there, and our universe is infinite, and we can call it infinity. So, or absolute, if you're talking about the higher consciousness. So, because our consciousness cannot imagine the boundaries of this universe, imagine of all the absurdity of human life. So, and can you remember when one of the satirists, for example, a woman told to a husband, take away the Christmas tree. Well, it is May, yes, people go to demonstration, but the main thing is that our life is concentrated on this everyday life, yes, everyday relationship, but we have to change consciousness, to expand our consciousness. Why we are thinking at the level of everyday life, these difficulties, these problems, these relationships, we need to expand consciousness, and we have to think not about ourselves. Yes, of course, we need to eat, yes, we need to get dressed, but we don't need to think about this all the time. And our consciousness should be above, in clouds. So we have to think of the universe. We have to stand with our feet on ground, but with our mind, with our thoughts in the infinity, in the subtle, in the fire world. So because our life is a small flesh on earth, yes, it's our path to infinity. And we will talk about the law of community, for example. Imagine now the city of Lipetsk, and all people are the brothers and sisters. For example, you go to the shop and you don't have to give money. Well, you take everything you want, well, because you don't need very much, and your work is also a service. Well, for example, when you go to the shop, you don't have to steal, you just take all you want, well, because people now are fixed on money and pretend that people live, that everyone lives to give, yes, and of course to give not only material sources, but our teachers said give, right? They didn't tell about money, but they said give love of your heart. This is very valuable, because all spiritual people understood. So you will go to another world, you will die, and what kind of resources? We don't need this, because these resources are these apartments, well, these houses, cars, for example. This is means of our existence here on earth. This is not our goal, because people don't understand that they are born to give, yes, to help this world. Now, for example, Donetsk is rebuilt, and one of the artists bought buses, for example, or some people, for example, give funds, well, or they conduct free concerts, yes, or they give work, well, to people. And having a talent, a person has to give it. And if everyone does this, of course, this community will exist. For example, can you remember we built communism? It was commune, collective farm. And of course, these low manifestations were introduced there. And there were people who stole something, yes, and took these things into their houses. And in ancient writings it was said that, and now there is a change of races, one race changed another, and now it is revival, the end of Kali Yuga, and at the end of the race it was said that people will value only what they in houses, well, but other things they will hate. Can you understand? And now we can see these manifestations. So if you go into an instance, an everyday example, well, and for example, you enter a flat, everything is beautiful, clean, everything is in order, there are chandeliers, carpets, and so on. But in entrance hall, it's very awful. So it's dirty, a bad smell, rats can run somewhere inside an entrance. I won't go into these entrances anymore. And this is reality. And this law of unity is forgotten by people, and people are like hamsters. They stuff their cheeks, well, with carrots, with different vegetables, fruits, yes, with big supply. And hamster cheeks are very big, and people often behave like these hamsters. Well, for example, what things do you have at home? If these things have dust, you can throw them away, or to give to somebody. You don't use them. How many books are there? Yes, we are in the library now. But how many books do you have at home? Yes, when you don't read them, what's the point in having them? It is said that people should have few things, because things require a lot of energy. They take our life. You have to dust them, to put them, to buy a closet, a bookcase for them, for example. And all life becomes an everyday life. And women say, I open the wardrobe and nothing to wear. Everything falls down. Yes, it's clear, because everything is old, something is old-fashioned. For instance, nothing to wear. Can you remember the words of Christ? Even a flower is dressed by God. He said about subtle clothes, about our subtle structure. So the flower is beautiful, and flower, the flower is very beautiful and nice by itself, because God dressed it. So, and it is important that our subtle clothes shines with light. So it's important when our aura shines with light. And if people are concentrated only on material and these centers, energy centers, they are called centers of creativity. Well, you know chakras. Anahata, heart chakra in Sanskrit. So solar plexus. And our throat chakra, 7 centers, and they are called centers of creativity, because when a person shows this creativity, creation begins to work. That is why any work should be accompanied with something creative. It's clear that they form the light of aura, and on subtle plane we can say what does a person look like. A high spirit shines with ruby or with purple light, and accordingly, and when a person is dressed in Versace, for instance, or other fashionable clothes, and the aura is darkened in stems, in black and red stems, and now auras can be photographed. Yes, you are beautiful, of course, but a human will be asked, what did you do? Where does your offense, your resentment, your anger comes from? And in the subtle world, what does a person answer? What did he or she do? Yes, of course, he or she will go into incarnation. It's clear that he or she will have to get rid of these qualities, and it's important what we take with us. Well, and we have to love, to help, to lead a good life, or otherwise you will get in hell, like religions say. What is hell? Hell is the lowest astral world, and there is no sunlight in this low consciousness. And if a person has a fiery heart, he or she goes above, if not, goes down. And here these energies are the most primitive. We can say demons can be there. This low root consciousness, they are very evil. They present on a planetary body, but they are cleansed, they are erased from our planet. So, and a person goes to the lowest astral plane, and that's all. And that happens not at the end of the life, but it happens every night. So, for example, a person went to bed and he or she goes to a certain sphere, to a light sphere or to a dark sphere. Then there are different people on the planet, evil and good people. And in some situations, it can be shown. Some people go to fight, to battle, but other people escape or do something bad. And true nature is shown. And we need to understand these things. This is a simple structure of our life. We don't just say it's sin, but we understand that every thought has energy, direction, and source. If we have good thoughts, if we love, we interact with the fiery plane. with the hierarchy of light, and if a person is irritated, has negative qualities, he or she is influenced by negative forces. So can you understand this? Even he or she lives on the physical plane, and he or she hasn't any fire in his or her heart. Well, that is why some people are like the suns. Well, but with some people it's very hard to be for a long time. And some people are like the sun, yes, and you feel joy, love, warm with such people, and this is reality of our world, of our life, and all religion say about this. But some religious people don't have awareness. They follow fanatically without understanding of true meanings. But the reality is, and we need to understand this. Why do we have to love? Well, to give, to shine, to live for the common good, not only for ourselves, because this is cosmic laws by which all universe lives. And it's clear that all our solar system, we get help from Venus and Jupiter. They save us from asteroids, and it's not a fiction. If we watch about space, I used to watch space channels. From Jupiter there is huge energy, like from the sun. Can you understand this? So, and high consciousness present there. So I studied Jyotish. It's Vedic astrology. So the influence of planets is considered there. And Jupiter is a very strong planet. It's a very spiritual planet. And and planets influence people's lives. So you can feel sun, well, other planets, or on natal chart. What? So, and it's important to understand the source of everything. I remember. So we have enough time. So because everything will be okay, and we'll go to Karelia. Everything will be fine. So that is why. So a human is influenced by planetary consciousness. Of course, it's very important to understand. So of course, as Elena said, we need to get along. So, and we need to get along with each other, not to quarrel, but it often doesn't work. We understand that we all understand we shouldn't quarrel. Well, there can be some misunderstandings, offenses, and it's a fact. But how to win this? How to win this? How to get rid of these qualities? Well, and we can win this by expanding our consciousness. So, and it's the only path. It's the only way. When we won't think planetary, understand how this world works, even if we control our emotions, we can't find this. But if we don't know that planets, yes, and lack of air affect us, what does it do? It causes irritation, and poison and peril can appear, Yes, if a person often irritates when it penetrates the cells, he or she is always irritated and nervous, and nothing can help him or her. And it is energy. It is energy which is in people's mind, and it is healed by prana, mountain air. And it's clear that it is right attitude to life, good thoughts, love and knowledge, but mountain air. And if you live in stuffy rooms, as I say to my friends, it's cold inside. They ask me, did you close windows? I reply, no. They know if I close them, I can't breathe. And but it was cold, 34 degrees below zero, and all windows are open. Well, to beat him, how to influence him? Well, and do you understand? A husband drinks. So look, here are muscly girls, and it constantly so. I communicate with painters. They are already adult, yes, professions, and they say, in previous years, there were so many boys, and now only the girls. And now we have lack of teachers. And what do? They work as managers in online shops, because there they can earn money. And for salary of a teacher, it's very hard to live, because the salary is very small. And boys, what problem they have? Bad words, street. So, and now we live in nature, we hear this rarely. And when we hear this, I can joke something, I can tell something to them. And beer, alcohol, yes, they think it makes them like adults. Cigarettes and these three components extinguish people's mind. And a person becomes like a slave. So, and this energy influences him or her very badly. And we can say, but it's necessary to move, to change all the life. So you need to leave things well and move. Take a husband and not to return to this place. Can you understand? To leave all. Take a path, for instance. Well, and traveling to Altai, go camping. So you have to show him another life. And of course it depends on an extent of addiction. If he finds this strength in himself, he should do this by himself. And how to help the husband? Pull him to mountains. There are no shops with beer, so let him read books, and he will see this beauty. So you need change of life. It is necessary. And you are young. You are very young, and it should be left. I used to drink himself and smoke. I remember my birthday party. Yes. And these parties were very disgusting for me at some moment. Well, and I can remember after my birthday party, I felt very bad. And I said, I won't touch it anymore. No cigarettes, no alcohol. I don't want to drink this anymore. And I looked at my natal chart then, and in 30 years there were periods of sun. Speaking about how planets influence us. Can you understand this? And it is will. I was striving for this. I was traveling, and it was my wish. And I understood that I had to come through this, because some people consider themselves righteous and others are unworthy, fallen, and when you go through life, when you drink yourself, well, when you smoke yourself, yes, or when you swear, and at some moment you stopped doing this, and when you begin to feel these energies, and we used to listen to rock music, and when you experience this, you can more easily explain it to others. Yes, to find right words. Not theoretical knowledges, but there is nothing to be afraid of, but you need to fight to row well, otherwise it will swamp you like a frog. Can you remember a frog rowed, yes, to swim out of a swamp? And what is teaching? It is a boat, and we need to row to get knowledge. Yes, for instance, if we don't apply these knowledges in our life, we can't reach other bank of the river, of this bank of true knowledge. So, and could you see in videos when people are floating in a river? Yes, but near there is a waterfall. So that is why we need to row strongly. To apply knowledge, we need to find a boat, build it, and then row strongly. And there should be a high life aspiration, because everyday life can lead us astray, and we need to take a high goal and strive for it. It's very important. So, and how to stop drinking? That is why we have to show to a person another side of life, to make him shine, to help create external conditions in order he wants to change it, to change by himself, because there are many different ways, and chemical too, they can help to some extent. Nevertheless, even there, he is asked, do you want it? There can be help, but if a person doesn't want, nothing can make him. He should fight himself to understand it is bad. That is why education is necessary. People should change all the life, to leave all and move to another place and live a new life. For example, we have to change a company. If you go to the same company, you say, I don't drink anymore. They can reply, let's drink a bit. We tried to stop drinking so many times, and a failure again. So and we have to change all our life. Otherwise, you can't go. So, or to live like others, suffer. For example, I can't stand these parties anymore. In the morning, for instance, you have a headache, and or when you are in the mountains, draw pictures. For example, tell poems, build a new school. There will be your children. They should grow in other place. And family community. And where is this family community? In a flat number 10 on the 12th floor. So, do you know, when a new ruler, a new ancient ruler appeared, a new palace or a castle was built, and young rulers, young kings and queens, czars, never lived in a parent's palace. Can you see it? How a person usually says, well, yes. So a person, him or herself, tells, I was led there. Begin to move yourself. Circumstances, and who creates these circumstances? Yes, it's a standard answer, a standard way of life. Yes, it's clear that it is necessary to help, to serve, but as a rule, people are attached. Attachment. How can I live this? So, go to Altai. Forgot about all. There is a very simple example. We are flying on vacation. Forgot about all. We are flying to the sun now. There is no time for this farm. All is out of time and space. You can close your eyes for a minute and nothing has changed on a physical plane. We are out of time and space. Be free for flight of the thought. Like Buddha says, where thoughts are, where we are. That is why often people are in a trap of material world and they say, I can't. I say, move to nature. Of course, it's clear that it's better there. They say, I can't. I ask why. They reply, I have a flat, car, mortgage, family, children, go to school, work. I can't move. I say, who did all this? Who created the family? They say, I. Who bought the car? I. And who bought the flat? I. Who created family? You did all this. And why can't you change everything? You did all this. And at some moment, he or she says, I can't, and gets dependent on work, mortgage, a car, flat. It's nonsense. Take Buddha, for example. Buddha had a whole kingdom. His father wanted to prevent him from seeing deaf, poor, and ill people. And he was told that Buddha would be a wiser, a great teacher, and when he sees all of this and change his life, choose the spiritual way. And it was done everything to hide all this from Buddha. High fences were set up, no funerals, only young people. And once Buddha was going with a chariot driver and saw funeral. But later it was told that only Buddha and chariot driver saw them. They weren't on a physical plane. So because all what should be, yes, was shown, and they saw this on a physical plane. He saw death, and he understood that it's impossible to live this way. It's needed to save people from suffering. And he went to search for the answer, for the truth. And he left everything, kingdom, not just a farm, a house, but yes, it's clear, but understand that a person creates all this by him or herself. My father, he passed away, he was ill, and he told to me, Dima, I have been building this country house all my life. I built a prison for myself. I dreamt to travel, to visit different countries, to see mountains. Maybe you will do this for me. I started to travel everywhere, and now I sit here near this house, this garden. Well, and this is why a person chooses by his or her own. And how can a house, a brick building, hold the movement of spirit? And pretend the next incarnation is Venus, and you will tell, I can't fly to Venus. I have a farm, chickens, goats, cows, for instance, or something like that. The problem is that people live with everyday life. But there is existence, and we need to conceive it here on Earth, on our planet, in our life, on a physical plane. So that is why, yes, we need to raise children, of course, to build houses. Yes, it's necessary, but it's also necessary to show wit. And understand this. I watched a video. A village was bombed. Yes, there were an elderly woman, and this elderly woman, these women were asked, why do you sit here? They are rockets. And she replied, my mother told it is her house and she won't leave it. It's nonsense. So she doesn't go. Daughter stays with her. What if they will die? Can you understand? And this is the mistake that the temple, what Christ told about the temple of spirit. We should build the temple of spirit, not houses, but the temple of spirit. I'll show you a visual example. I paid attention to it. Just a second. Well, it's an exponent. I just saw this. And I use a moment to show this to you. Well, can you see the whole demonstration of people's life? I accidentally saw this. always gathered here. So what was the idea of the author of this thing? To develop children? But I saw what a person represents him or herself today. And it's not a human body, but a house, because all the people's development today is in everyday life. I think it's our mind. Some details. There are so many different details, and I think these are thoughts in the head. It is shown like this in this house. And now people build smart houses when it can turn on something, open something by itself. Yes, and what do we build? The temple of spirit? No, smart houses. Not smart people when they develop consciousness. What do we have else? Money. Well, a wallet should be there. As it is said, if a big wallet is long and inconvenient for you, throw it away. If this material means distract you from developing, throw them away. So you are weighted on Venus and you say, I can't, I have a farm, for instance. Do you get it? To reach this world, we need to fly there. You must change here to build this temple of spirit, to change your thoughts, your heart, to gain spiritual qualities. We have money. What else? Energy, for example. Energy is electrical. Because everyone has forgotten about energy of our hearts. Even now, people's hearts are treated not with fresh air, with prana, but by any devices, any constructions. We need to go to mountains. How defeat coronavirus? Mountain air, clean energies are needed. Now how we are healed? Stay in your flats? Yes, stay inside, or this mechanical ventilation, which costs millions. But we have to stop pollute energy, to pollute our planet. We are not adapted to live here. We have been spending here for 2 days, and we have lack of air. We can't breathe and stay in cities for a long time. Now the ventilator blows and it's better. It's very hard in flats. Do you understand that we build a prison for ourselves? Some work is necessary, of course, but we are speaking about harsh expedients, about the golden mean. Buddha told about this, about the golden mean, because if we will stop self-development, learning, studying, and it's good when people have labor work, and if a person thinks only about material things, so life becomes senseless. And I saw very rich people, they just died of coronavirus. Money don't save anybody from no disease, but the death of the soul is horrible, not the death of the body. And as I said, this highest goal should not something material. If we need a house, we build it. Maybe not for ourselves, but for our friends or children, we live there. Otherwise, what's the point in this? Our father thought he would build this house and my sister and I will live there. He had good intentions, but we left for thousands of kilometers. And no one of us needs this. It's all illusion. Because karma will attract all to where they should be. So there are so many distracted temples, maybe after war and before, how many buildings there were, and in previous civilizations. Where these houses are, who knows? But a human is alive. The spirit, the soul should live, and we must develop this. And if we don't have it, must epidemics happen, people are not able to carry light and die of the blowing of wind, not only of coronavirus. Some people say, why are you without masks? I reply, we live on an island. Virus is afraid of us. There are bears. Virus doesn't get here. That is why we must understand this. What do we have else? We can discover it on a scientific basis because there is a lot of sense in it. That is why the matter is, as great teachers, Mahatmas say, that people often have higher destiny and now every human has his or her own destiny, but however people try to build so-called birdhouse. They do not what they should do. There are artists, of course, musicians, teachers, rulers, and so on, many different people. But people are busy building a birdhouse. And great teachers say a person should see the world. Don't build these houses. That means expand your consciousness. He or she shouldn't stay on the same place. Even birds fly from the north to the south and build nests. And they are never fixed on the same place. Have you ever been to mountains? Even when you go on vacation, you think, what kind of vacation can it be? I have lots to do at home. I just remember this moment. I get in a train and I forget about everything at home. You can forget about your work. So, why people have only 1 month vacation? Because they won't return if they are given more days to have vacation. Because it's a loss of employer. Money, a lot of money. Who said this? That for traveling, a lot of money is needed. Well, why do you go to Thailand? Russia is big. Take a backpack and go to mountains. There is no money to live in a camp. Lena and I ate cones. I'm serious. We ran out of food and we ate cones and nobody asked for money. And moreover, food hangs on branches. Bags with food, because tourists leave them for the next ones. There can be grains, buckwheat in these bags. That is why, what kind of money for traveling? It's illusion. Well, you visit touristic place where everything is made for earning money. on tours, and it's clear you need money. So go to wild areas. What do you need these places for? It's impossible to live there. In these hotels, we went to the south, to the sea, where people could drink, have parties. I can't be there anymore. It's awful. That is why only mountains. It's all illusion. To build a house, it's illusion too. Yes, that to build a house we need a lot of money. A human can do everything and should do everything by him or herself. It's clear that it's hard to be alone. That is why we are speaking about community. If two families will unite, two men, two women, and they already have their own kindergarten, school. So some people go to nature and live there, unite, build, and create something. We need to learn to live. And a huge mistake of humanity is when people say, I'm a doctor, or a teacher, or a scientist. A person doesn't have a profession. A person should do everything. Yes, he or she can develop some mastery, what he or she likes more. Some people are scientists, for instance, doctors, but it doesn't matter. Yes, doesn't mean that a scientist can't fix a water tap. What kind of scientist is he or she? Or a doctor? Pretend that he treats people and can't fix a water tap or build a house. Once a man came to me and said, a man should, I did all in my life. I asked, what did you do? He said, I planted a tree, built a house, and raised a son. I did everything. I did all what I should do. What to strive for? But we can tell about cosmic consciousness. Do you get it? And what kind of house should a person build? The temple of spirit, of the heart. And what kind of sun? To awake Christ in him or herself, to show cosmic consciousness. The Son of God, of Spirit, as the great teacher told us. What kind of tree should we plant? Do you know there are monadic trees which grow? And we are parts of these trees. That means to found a new race, new human consciousness. Do you get it? And all these things are accepted by people on a very primitive level, but they contain cosmic knowledge, and for understanding this world, what sounds through centuries, the words of Russian language, we need to expand consciousness and understanding of this world, what it really is, and understanding of fire, of subtle world. Being limited only by physical world, a person can reach nothing. Why is living ethics given to humanity, to the world, and especially to Russia? Because it was foreseen that there would be opposition to Russia and Russia would win wars, because Russian people chose the way of spirit. Can you get it? Some people complain, we live poorly in Russia, we have no money. Why? Because from the physical point of view it's bad, but from the spiritual it's good, because we cultivate these qualities of spirit all the time. We fight for survival. It's better this way when get rotten from richness. Because when a person is very rich, he or she often stops striving for anything. When he or she has a constant lack of something, he or she searches for something, improves. It's clear that it's regulated by cosmic consciousness. You know yourself. When something goes wrong and it seems that you can't do anything, and the person starts doing and he or she gets help and strength, something begins to be improved. Nothing depends on a person. A person needs only inspiration. There is always help of cosmos, hierarchy of light. If people complete some task or they have karmic task, it's clear that they get help. Or when they have a great mission, a person is protected by hierarchy of light. He or she gets a shield of hierarchy. It happens when he or she starts to serve to the common good, giving life for serving people, humanity. Then he or she gets full protection and guidance of all cosmic beings, because he or she returns to the family of cosmic brotherhood. And he is protected by seraphims, cherubims, thrones, dominions, virtues, powers, principalities, angels, archangels, cosmic teachers, our brothers. And the person is under their protection. And when people get out of these limits of personal, private, when he or she understands that on this machine you can't reach Venus. That's why a right thing to bind an air balloon to this house. What do you think? Air balloon is necessary. Do you get it? To make this house fly. Can you remember such a cartoon? He flew with his house. Yes, because he was afraid to leave it, right? And an air balloon is needed. Well, and that is why these things, we must understand this. There is also a reminder that our time goes, our time moves, and it shows 6, half past 6, the change of races. So, and do you know the number 6 and 7? We can see these numbers very often if we take geometry numbers. So nothing is accident. All reminds us about the life of future, about cosmic life. So, and there are a lot of different things, a lot of different symbols. It is written house. So we guess riddles there. It is written an amusing house. Yes, it amuses us, in fact. There is even a bell and a lock. No one knows who can enter into your house. How many locks do you have? Only one? Well, maybe you keep money not at home. Well, now people already understand. And you came here to this center. You have another consciousness. But what about other people? It's everything okay with locks. In a village? Yes, in a village we rarely lock the door. So there are only bears in our village, but they can enter the house. But look, there 1, 2, 3, like in this carton. It opens, but inside it's empty. Do you get it? So is a person, a human. It's a visual construction. It also has a number, ordinal number. Can you see it? There are a lot of numbers. All is counted. it's very clear. And so I close it and take it away. Can you remember a story when a spiritual person, a wiser, came to a family where people had scandals and quarrels and gave them a box and said, "Don't open it, and there should be no scandals, no quarrels, otherwise something bad will come from it." And there was silence in the house. Then the boy opened this box and it turned out to be empty. Nothing was there. How to set up peace at home? That is why the most valuable thing is the light of our hearts. And when we are busy with these toys like an amusing house, in our home there is also a lot of work to do. We need to repair a tube. It was frozen, I think when will it end? But we have to do this. Especially we thought that we do this for our friends, but I get that it's also an amusing house and it can take all the life. And now there are so many different things in shops, especially in supermarkets. Do you get that a person doesn't have time for the most important? And we must build our life like. So let's take it away. We will examine this later. And it will be useful for Alena. You can apply something in architecture. Well, that is why it's very important to have a life aim. And it should be in the focus. Can you remember in childhood, parents measured our growth, our growth and age. For example, 5 years, 1 year old. So that is why take the highest point and write a name, for which you are striving for. Then write intermediate aims and any aim, as you say. For instance, as you say, the house, the farm, compare with the highest aim, and do these aims lead to this, to the main aim. And also estimate this highest aim. It can change as the consciousness grows. Understand that we live here for the common good, for community. It's the law of the common good. By the way, children don't have attachment to the privacy. Adults have it. There is no understanding that a thing can cost much. He or she can break something, mother has a heartbreak, but it's interesting for a child what's inside this thing. Yes, of course, it depends on a child. Usually, till 3 years old, children share the things very easily. Now he got more rational. He says, it's mine. Mom and dad live so. We are forced to live so. It's our car, it's our house, it's our garden. Our society is built this way. But if he saw another image, he wouldn't be attached to the privacy. You can play with it, then leave it, and other children will play. If it would be naturally. Because children get all very quickly. What's the difficulty in explanation? Parents explain, you can't behave like this, do this, don't do that. But a child sees different. He or she learns from the world, from life, and understands all because watches others. Yes, mom says, don't behave like this, and the child asks why. All the children do so. And it's important to create a space where children will learn in life. There will be no need to explain, he or she will see it and learn by society. Yes, it can be little, but with high thoughts, ideas, inspiration, which is based on love, on friendship, on help. Yes, on usual human qualities which we are known for us. For example, everyone got salary and we go to the mountains and everyone bought food and no one will ask for money and count something who spent more and less. It's nonsense. When you go to mountains, you have a huge backpack, you can wear a lot, you can also say, I'll buy you food, carry it, I'll take a light bag. Because it's hard, excessive things are not needed there. Friendship, help is checked in mountains. There are no ranks in mountains, in such places. There are other laws, and it should be so in life. Well, set with high aim, write, and see how to achieve it. People often ask, how to heal this illness, yes, or this disease. There are certainly reasons of these illnesses. I name them. Behavior has a big role. And I say, don't behave like this, don't do so, change a place, change thoughts. But as a rule, it's not like when people come to a doctor and complain, something hurts, and the doctor says amputation is required, or a surgeon says, or a doctor says take a pill. And the solution must be complex. Understand the reason. To heal not consequences. Western medicine heals consequences. But we need to understand the reason. Because you live in a polluted place, you have quarrels, low thoughts, your relatives live this way. The atmosphere is bad, and you don't develop your creativity. The centers don't work, and so on. You need to change everything. There is no nature around you. You live somewhere in the city center where the air is polluted. How to meditate in the center of a city? What is the space? So is a person. A place should be purified physically and mentally. This is the basis. Of course, we move to nature, not to escape and save ourselves. It's expedient to be healthy, to raise harmonical, healthy, educative children, and to be healthy also in terms of consciousness. So children are not crazy. Don't run and shout like Lena's nephew. He was sent in kindergarten and he said, everybody's crazy there. Why did you send me there? They are running and shouting, children, and the child is used to create, construct something. He is calm. They are run and shout. Well, and so is at schools. All students sit and get marks. We know such examples of schools where children learn a school program for a year and go to university, but there must be special school of parents should educate children, and parents got lazy. They don't want to learn children, and this is first phrase when mother comes to baby's bed and she says, you can do everything. You have to change consciousness. Yes, don't say I can't do this. Go to mountains. Yes, and there is another understanding of life. You say I can't, and millions of people say like this and sit. And the first formula is you can do everything. We are having a talk about the house. Well, but in fact about the temple of spirit. And this is our task, to build it. It's clear we need some place to live, and we must see this goal and strive for it. And we have to behave expediently in accordance to cosmic expedience, and understand that every step, flat, car, country, house, illness, prevents you have to change all the life. Speaking in short, a complex approach is necessary. Can you remember, Christ said, "Leave all behind and follow me." Not in terms just kitsch, but speaking about things as we build houses, and our friend brought a sofa from a flat. It wasn't old, but it was somewhere, and I asked what for. A thing has an energy of a place. There should be new things. It's better plain but new. Maybe without a bed, yes, to sleep on the floor. And why do we need a huge amount of furniture? The plainer, the better. Minimalism. And you're not attached to something. Yes, you're not attached to things. You want to go to Altai, for example, or as in previous centuries, people went to Kiev, to temples, almost without things. And nothing holds you. A person should be free from these things. If you go somewhere, I don't call it vacation. It's discovering of the planet. Let it be your scientific spiritual traveling. Don't visit these places where in hotels, where everything is all-inclusive, but you can work a volunteer, for example, half a day work, then take a rest. People can find solutions, but don't go to these touristical places. Just go to nature with a backpack. You must have fearlessness and discovering of nature, of this world. This is the basis. Let's have a break, and if you have any questions, ask them, because we were talking about our life. It's very important, but in fact, simple truth which are known for us, but we forget about them, and we are torn away from cosmic reality, cosmic brotherhood, because a simple thought can help us to change everything. We will be happy. Our soul will sing. Not to stay in this dullness of life. Well, how are you? Normal. Now we have a fight for the planet, for humanity, for motherland. We have to follow cosmic evolution, build the future. Well, and as great Lenin said, maybe some people don't like it, but Lenin tried to lead people to a new level of consciousness. And we must achieve this. So, because the future is cosmic brotherhood, interaction with higher consciousness, with planets, with stars. And we must achieve this. And children come from higher worlds. We need to create such conditions in order they don't fall in this sphere of decay. And it's clear, if it gets to a sphere where there is no fresh air, where TikTok, and it's clear it will be hard for this consciousness to get out and resist, to show their divine self. We are responsible for the future of this world because we are also children. We can be incarnated there. We need to take care of this future and to build the temple of the spirit. We need the houses, of course, if we need them to live in nature, because houses protect us, protect our body. But first of all, the building of the temple of spirit. If a human is with old consciousness, no houses can help, no money can save. And health must be saved for future, to do something good in this life. And we need care less about looks, money, but we have to give more. And it's not about material resources, but to give love of your heart. Otherwise, we stop to shine like the sun. Why like the sun? Why not the moon? The moon doesn't shine, but the sun shines. So, and we must shine, be like the suns. Our teacher is the sun. And our heart must shine like the sun. And people need to feel warm, joy with us. Yes, in space of our heart. They should get care, love. Even if this love is invisible. And we must share all the warmth we have inside. So, and if everyone lives this way, our planet will shine like the sun, and people will shine like stars. This is the law of the universe. Let's have a break.